All right, we are back at the bridge. I am your host, Bouchon. I have my co-host here, Richard Willoughby, along with Jim Poulin. And we want to welcome you guys to another episode today. So today is kind of a different episode. We do have a special guest on. And I'll go ahead and introduce our guest. So he is a highly visible member of the CDS community and a strong supporter of our fine arts and athletic program and clubs. He is the current head coach of the boys varsity basketball team, where he led our program to a district championship in 2021. He also serves as the director of clinics on the Board of Trustees for the Florida Association of Basketball Coaches, facilitating statewide professional development clinics for coaches. We want to welcome our middle school dean of students and our boys varsity basketball coach, Colin Dehate, to the show this morning. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourselves. How long have you been at CDS?
It's my 5th year at CDS, and my goodness, it just absolutely flown by.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's flown by. It's been a lot of fun. Came from Seffner Christian. I was spent 5 years there teaching biology. Made the switch over after a really successful season over there. CDS kind of gave me my start as a head coach. I was an assistant coach prior.
Okay.
Started out teaching biology in the upper school, did that for 4 years. And now I'm middle school dean of students.
Awesome. Biology. Wow. So that's an interesting mixed pot there between biology and basketball. So you played ball in college as well?
I did. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of like science teacher.
That's pretty cool. So.
And it just happened to be luck, how that worked out. The biology teacher left, here, and CDS actually, before I came over, I think that they had a coach leave and they didn't have a teaching position available.
Okay.
So I remember talking to Baker Mabry, the athletic director at the time, and it was like, it's a great school. It's a great school, but I would need a job. And then the biology teacher left next year.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about our upper school science department, okay, like they're all about business.
Okay.
So I think when they first, you're like, wait a minute, like there's a basketball coach coming in and he teaches science, okay. Yeah. So, but I mean, I absolutely love our upper school science department. And like I said, they were, somebody we ate lunch together the last 4 years. So it's been a little different dynamic this year, moving down to middle school, but we love that.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was definitely like, wow, like basketball coach opening and biology teacher opening. And it worked great. It's meant to be.
Awesome. I kind of sidestep for a second and touch on something. So, they had to correct me this morning because I thought you were like the JV football coach or something, because I know you were very enthusiastic about the pep rally, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We discussed that as well. So what gives you that excitement? I do see an excitement with you when you're engaging with kids. You seem to take time out and kind of kids really seem to cling to you. And what gives you that energy to be able to connect with the kids like that?
I had great role models growing up between coaches and teachers. So I remember becoming a teacher was an absolute accident.
Yeah.
When I played ball at Clearwater Christian College for 4 years, blew my knee out my senior year. And I was planning to go to med school and do all that. But it came time to take my MCAT. I was still recovering from surgery. So my mom was like, consider taking some time to get your master's, And so I applied to University of South Florida, got into their college public health program with toxicology and risk assessment. And then honestly got tricked into coaching at my old school, Seffner Christian. And I remember telling Sam Moore, the coach at that time, like, hey, listen, like I'll come and help out varsity, but I don't want to do JV, and man, my goodness, he tricked me into doing that. And I remember, like I said, having those role models, and, I was kind of like, man, I'm kind of good at this. Like, I'm good at this and I enjoy it. So kind of my thing, then people ask, what's your why and what's that? Like, if I could be like half of like the person that these guys were to me, like my basketball coach, Roger Duncan, outside of my father, he had the most impact in my life,
That's awesome.
as a man. So if I can do that for someone else, that's a blessing to me.
Yeah.
So that comes with some excitement, and I'm really kind of one of those people that I love what I do. So getting up every day is a blessing, and I try to bring it.
Yeah. That's good, man. I think that's a good answer too, because I think you hit on something key. If you could be what you had, because you never know what somebody's situation is. We just, as we all know, we live in different times now, and times are ever changing, and kids need more support now. And I think kids are more vocal now about the support they need, whether it be via talking to their teacher or via social media. So to be that backbone for them is real admirable. So definitely love to hear that. So let's go back to your coaching. What is your coaching style? Like, are you just tell me that. What's your coaching style? Yeah.
Well, and if I might add, I want to know, does it differ from your teaching style when you were a teacher?
Great question.
It is completely different. And it's funny. Actually, I think Casey French over there has made a comment about
Shout
that
out
before.
to Casey.
Yes. Teacher, Mr. Dehate, and Dean of Students, Mr. Dehate, and then Coach Dehate. There's some differences there, and we used to laugh in my biology class, like, man, that guy that's like hollering over there in the gym during games and stuff, and the guys in here, like, this guy's really laid back, that other guy's not.
Yeah.
And we would laugh about that. Like, I would say that I am a demanding coach. I'm never demeaning. That's something that, like, all my assistants, we're all together on that. Like, we have a very high level of expectation.
Yeah. And
we work really, really hard. I'm somebody who, when you do have to criticize or correct, okay, and sometimes, you do have to put a little volume into it. But then when someone does something well, I praise just as loud, if not louder, than I criticize. And that's been very successful for me. Once again, had coaches that would push. That's what a coach is they take you farther than sometimes you want to go. And for me, that's what I try to do. We always balance that, but the play style, like, it's very difficult. I don't think you can teach, like you coach.
Yeah.
There's some differences there.
Yeah.
But if you have that relationship, that comes before we learn anything in biology. When I taught, we had a day of, man, it was just getting to know kids. It was 20 questions. And I'd ask them anything from, if you're the hero or a villain, or you could choose to be a hero or a villain, what would you be? And why? We would talk about those type of, favorite restaurants, different, family traditions. And so, like, I knew the kid and had a relationship with them first.
Yeah.
And because of that relationship, they want to do well for you.
Yeah.
They're going to study harder in Mr. Hate's class. Cause, like, man, like, I want to make sure I do well in this class. Coaching, that part is the same. Before you go out there and you demand or holler, yell at anybody, you have to have that personal relationship. So, and it's bigger than basketball. I've been doing this now for 10 years. So some of my former players are now getting married and having kids, and I'm still talking to them, going to weddings, going to that. And it's cool to have that, and you celebrate their successes. Yeah. And then when something bad happens, you're someone that they call. They lost, one of their parents, or, something that is tough. And you just try to, be that person for them, that's
good. Yeah, that sounds amazing, because what you're doing really is like sowing seed into them before you even start to coach them or teach them. You're planting something inside of them to let them know that, hey, I'm not only this, but you can also lean on me or come to me with something else, like truly to help you. Besides what I'm trying to show you or coach you on, I can help you. And so I think that's awesome. So you're a demander. Are you and your coaching staff on the same team? Like, who is the assistant coach? How many assistant coaches do you guys have?
We have a couple assistant coaches. Barry Chamberlain, our athletic director, likes to make fun of me for that. But everybody has a role to play. Okay. And what we've really broke it down to, Brandon Channer is teaches in 5th grade, and he's kind of like my on-campus assistant.
Yeah.
And as far as like basketball trainers, like skill work, he's the best. He's the best in the county. I know people want to say I'm biased, but I mean, he does a great job. Just skill training. They have a media platform called It's a Bucket, which I'm not sure if you've heard of, but it's on Instagram. It's got quite a following. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Okay.
And their family, it's run by him and his brothers. But they provide a platform for high school athletes, high school basketball players. And so you've probably, if you've been on Instagram, to watch any sort of basketball stuff, it will come up in your feed. And they do a really, really good. Have you seen any of that, Jim, or no?
Is that the highlights with the music, the background music, and the
correct?
Okay, yeah, I've seen that. Wow, nice. So that leads me into my next question here with technology.
Well, before we even get to that, my other coaches, if they listen to this, I got to shout them out real quick.
Of course.
Omar Garrett is our head JV coach.
Yes.
He does a fantastic job. Big Clay helps out there as well. The other varsity assistants, Coach RJ Wood, who actually served on the board here at the school for a while. He's no longer a board member, but still, because he loves investing in young people, young men. He comes out. He's here every day. He also helps with, because he's a finance guy, he helps, give some of that type of advice, to kids. Certain athletes that we've had come out of here for, NIL and stuff like that. Like, he's very hands off, say, I don't want any part of this, but I can look at things for you and kind of give you, some insight. The last assistant that we have is Sven Wilbekin, who's really like the veteran coach, something that I can go to for stuff. His oldest son, Scotty, was on Billy Donovan's last Final Four team at UF. Played professionally, still plays professionally. And then one of his sons, Mitchell, played at Wake Forest and is now the assistant GM for the Memphis Grizzlies D-League team. He started the Rock Schools basketball program. Sven did, up in Gainesville. So he's somebody who's just like, when we go to Gainesville, he's like basketball royalty.
Of course.
Somebody that I just lean on, for everything.
Wow. I feel like Rich had a question there. Man.
That sounds like a tremendous staff. Yeah. Sounds like we're very fortunate to have those guys on the staff. But just hearing you, I keep hearing you mention you played college and UF. Are you an NBA guy or a college game guy?
Still my question, Richard. So
sorry. No, sorry, buddy. I love both, man. College just directly translates to the high school game, where you're still pressing, you're running sets, and there's, especially with film, as we're about to have going into this technology question, that's the most comparable to what we do. Like, we use Huddle, for all of our film. That's kind of changed the way that we go through practices and things like that. Colleges use Synergy. That's kind of their thing. But I watch a ton of college ball just because I steal smarter coaches' ideas and sets. And I'm unashamed of saying that. That's the big joke. We had our clinic here for FABC, and that's the running joke. They're like, guys, like, we steal stuff from other people. We'll tweak this a little bit. It works really well for us. They're like, steal it, and it's really great. We had a great lineup this year, come out for that. But yes, I would say more college. That I do. I'm a big LeBron James fan, so just try to support him. That's okay, good.
Yeah, man.
Right. Sometimes I say that.
I like college better, but Bouchon's the NBA guy.
I was stuck in the 80s with NBA, so I can't watch this.
I'm a big Jordan guy, but I do like following LeBron's and seeing what he's done,
Yeah. So shout out to the JV coach. I mean, you can't do it without your assistant coaches being there with you to support you. So I definitely want to piggyback you on that. And it's awesome to hear, like Richard said, how much we have, how the resources that we have here. So it's definitely, So let's go. What was the name of the social media drop? What was it?
So which one? Like
the Instagram page, you said?
Instagram page is It's a Bucket.
It's a Bucket, yes. So I have seen that. Awesome highlights from what I can remember. And that's nationwide. That's not just Florida, right? That's nationwide, right?
Yeah, they cover a lot in the county, but they also do state and nation. They're getting pretty big.
Yeah.
And that's a grassroots kind of thing started here.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So in-game tech, you guys are using Huddle?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us what Huddle is for.
Huddle is huge for us, and there's different packages and platforms together. I mean, to get film, like when I was in high school, somebody had to sit up in the stands with a camera,
shaking
the whole time.
Right.
Your parents and whatever
people walking in front
of it.
Exactly.
Walking in front of it, it's terrible, right?
Yep.
And then you had to go and burn that onto a DVD.
Yep.
And so
true.
Roger Duncan would have to go, like, especially your playoff time, you're driving, an hour and a half, 2 hours to go get film from somebody, and that's just to try and give you a competitive edge.
Yeah. So
you used to be able to, run your sets, the stuff that where, hey, there's option 1, option 2, because you couldn't really be scouted. It was difficult to scout teams. Now that we use Huddle, everybody's got Huddle. So there's Huddle Assist to where, man, I turn that camera on in the gym.
Yeah.
You used to have to keep stats, on a notepad and all that kind of stuff. It breaks down the stats for me every game. When I get film, you can send and receive film with other coaches. That they'll break that down for you. And I get a printout of, okay, who's their best player? Where do they shoot from? There's a shot chart.
Wow.
So just the analytics part is huge.
Yeah.
So we use that part. And then, like I said, focus just for the games. I film practice. You want to talk about a lot of time, guys, like 25, we usually watch 2 films per game. There's 25 games in a regular season. Okay. So you're talking over, 30 hours of film, during the season. And that's without practice. We film practices as well. So our kids can go back and go, okay, this is what I was doing wrong in practice. This is what I was doing right. When coach got on to me, this is what he's talking about. And it just helps them learn. They pick things up a lot faster. Our football team we don't use it in basketball, but they use Huddle Sideline, which has instant replay. So they've got, a TV on wheels out there, and, something happens and they can go right back and go, this is what we're talking about. So just the feedback with technology has gotten.
That's insane, man.
And it is.
Wow.
And it's a competitive edge. It really is.
So speaking of competitive, because you're on the state board, is there a limit to the amount of resources a school program in basketball or in athletics in general that you know of? Is there a limit to how much technology or finances they could dump into a program to kind of, like, is there a cap to kind of level the playing field, or is it just open game to as much as you want to dump into a particular program you can? And as far as Huddle or other platforms, as far as the analytics and things like that?
There's not rules based off that. And this has been kind of the rub. Some county schools, so like public schools, don't have Huddle cameras or any sort of camera or hookup in the gym, and these are, bigger schools, 5A, 6A, 7A schools that don't have those resources. And I think there is a little bit of a rivalry between private school coaches and public school coaches. And I try not to do that in this area. We're pretty good in Tampa Bay about helping each other out, but it is tough when you've got, we're very blessed here to have the technology and the resources that we have. We're not doing fundraisers and car washes and things like that other, schools have to do. And our guys, I have to remind them every now and again, like, guys, you got it pretty good.
That's right.
Okay. So when you think you're having a bad day, like, you're very, very blessed. We've got two courts over there. What I can do in a practice versus, a school that has one gym and they're already sharing it either with varsity girls or JV boys or whatever. We've got way better options. We can maximize that time. So it forces me as a coach. So my practice plans are, down to the minute, from, a 4:30 to 4:35, 5-minute layups, and we maximize the time. So to answer your question, no, there's not a cap on that, which I think is also one of the reasons why people want to come here so bad for our athletics teams. From football, Marshall McDuffie does a great job with them, and sending kids to college. Our volleyball girls just won state championship. And basketball. I mean, every year we've got kids that want to be a part of the program. And it's tough. It's tough turning people away sometimes. Like, we're full, we're in a waiting list, and every class, pretty much every class on campus. The resources part of that is a big reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw a kid using a Dr. Dish. I don't know if we have that here. And I was like, I could have been in the European Basketball League if I had something like that to just rebound and continually feed me shots.
So it's actually called it's Shoot Away is the company, and it's called The Gun as well. Yeah, but there are Dr. Dishes are another kind of brand of that. It's a shooting machine where it's touchscreen. So there's a diagram of the court on there, and there's like 37 different spots that you can click. I want to shoot this many from this shot. It keeps track of your makes and misses and rebounds for you. And our kids are on it every day. Pretty sweet, man. Pretty sweet. And that's something like we actually got one donated to us in high school, and it was like, man, everybody was on it, but a lot of high schools don't have that. Some colleges don't have that. Mm-hmm. We've got a state-of-the-art one here, so it's pretty big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, man, when I see the kids working out, like I'll pull up in the morning sometime. Mm-hmm. This is not the squirrel from basketball, but I'll pull up in the morning sometimes, and on the football field, I'll see the kids out like working out first thing in the morning. I'm like, wow, it really feels like they're preparing. It's like preparation for the next level here.
Absolutely.
I don't think you see that a lot. Public schools, unfortunately. If so, I'm not aware of it. But it's just a whole organized type of preparation that I see here a lot. Next level that I see from the coaching staff here. So it's pretty awesome. So I think the biggest question is, what do you look for in an athlete? Like what do you say to yourself, like when you know that a kid is special? Let's say all kids are special. Let's get that out the way. But let's say you have a student and like this student really has potential to probably go to the next level. What's that thing that sticks out to you about that kid? That's a clear indicator. Like, yeah, I think
it's motivation. There are a lot of guys that are very athletic. There's a lot of guys that can shoot the basketball. They're tall or, they're fat, all of those things, if you don't have the intrinsic motivation and that intrinsic desire, to push yourself and to work, man, you might be able to have the, ability to play at the next level, but you won't make it.
Yeah.
There's just too many things. And it's gotten harder since the pandemic. The COVID year that they gave a lot of athletes, there's still people that are using their COVID year. And so what that did, along with the transfer portal, is make it pretty difficult for a high school guy to get a college scholarship. And that's in any sport. So I tell my guys, the ones that want to play the next level, to understand that when we have coaches here, they're looking at every single thing. They're looking at body language. They're looking after you make a mistake, and a coach gets on to you. What's your response? Mm-hmm. And they've got a list. And it's like, if you don't do something the right way, how are you hedging a ball screen? Are you trapped? Like you're not doing your job. That's it. They've got all these other guys that they're going to go look at. And so it's tough.
Yeah, it's
tough. So somebody who doesn't have that intrinsic motivation, that to be able to go, man, this is what I love, that attention to detail. They're not going to get everything on that list, and that's going to be the reason they don't go. So I like the biggest thing for me is motivation. I tell my guys every day, like, I don't coach effort. Like, you have to come out here, and especially as blessed as we are, like, how dare you ever give me anything other than your best,
So with those guys who are getting ready to go to the next level, preparing for that, and they have coaches out here looking at them, are you telling them, hey, this is what's on the list? Like,
absolutely.
You're telling them that. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Are they feeling the anxiety that comes from that, or that could come from that on their side?
Yes, they are. We've been very fortunate to have a couple kids come through here that were studs. Mike Trigg, I coached him at my previous school. He graduated from CDS. he could have gone to any school to play basketball. He chose football.
Yeah.
You know, so he's played at USC, he's played at Ole Miss. Somebody that, man, intrinsically, you know, motivated, is getting here before me at, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning. To do that. Matt Webster plays at Florida A&M, you know, so that's another Division I guy. You know, Trey Lockett is at UNF, and all of those guys are hard workers. All of them, you know, between body language, you know, and they're kids make mistakes and do that kind of stuff. But it's funny to see, you know, the difference between the expectations for body language, you know, and my first year here to what it is now. You really, I mean, it's changed. And then you talk about film too. They're looking at that on film. You know, so when we have the live period, which the last couple of years that's been a part of Florida Association of Basketball Coaches, so FABC. The live period is when it's a certified event where college coaches can come in and evaluate and talk to and give scholarships to kids. And we tell our kids whenever we go to that, we had to go to my, let's see, I guess when Trey was a senior, so it would be last summer, we went to one up in Georgia because we didn't have a certified event here in Florida. And he really didn't do well, you know, and it was tough to have, man, these coaches are coming, we've lined these guys up and they come out and he struggled, you know, and talk about disappointing when, you know, there's a college coach there, you're trying really, really hard to get a scholarship and you don't play well. You know, but it's like, that's okay. You're going to get another opportunity. You know, it's funny. The first time that a college coach is in the gym, it's just, man, you don't make your shots. You're nervous. Yeah. Oh yeah. Your knees are shaking a little bit. You know, it's tough. The more that they do it, you know, the better they get, you know, and it's like, okay, there's a coach here. Nothing changes. So we tell them that in practice, like, hey guys, every day is got like, you can't just flip a switch, you know, a light switch. And, you know, I'm not doing the little things right in practice. And then when a college coach is here, man, I'll be diving on the floor. I'm not going to miss a box out or a rotation. It don't work like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to do right because it's right to do. And, you know, like I'm going to do the right thing, you know, and I'm going to do the little things well. That over and over again, that builds those habits. You know, and that's what a coach goes, man, I love the way that you know, hedge that ball screen, you know, those types of things. That's what's going to get you. Everybody can shoot. Yeah. You know, everybody can, you know, they're 6'5" or they're whatever. Like what separates you from those people? It's your motivation and it's your attention to detail.
Nice.
I think you nailed it. Just to kind of elaborate on that, because I'm not a basketball player. I grew up playing soccer myself, but I'm a huge college basketball fan. I was born in Connecticut. I'm a UConn fan, been my whole life. And I think as a fan of college basketball, I hear coaches talk, and Danny Hurley especially, who's the current coach at UConn, he talks about the intangibles. And like you just said, everybody can shoot, and everybody that's even really being considered at the next level has the skill set, but it is those intangibles of leadership, their attitude, their involvement as a team leader, things like that you can't necessarily, you can coach it, but it has to come, like you said, from within intrinsically, and that motivation. And then I always think about success as a sum of talent plus work ethic. And a lot of people have raw talent and those studs that you're referring to. Without the work ethic, coming in early, leaving late, putting in the reps in the gym, they're not going to make it to the next level. And unless you have both, you're going to hit a wall at some point. And at this age, it's hard for them to understand that. And that to see and hear that work ethic at this age, I think you must feel blessed to see those kids come through here. And then also with what you said on earlier, just having them come to you later in life, knowing that transcending the court and the game as a teacher and or as a coach, them relying you not only in positives, but in hard times as well, being just that role model in life in general, I think that's got to be a great repayment to all your work and what you're doing here.
It's great to be at a place that like aligns with values. You know, I don't think I could work at a place where that wasn't the case. You know, from everything that we do, from the time management side, like on this campus, like you have to be able to time manage. I mean, you guys see that when kids come in or they miss a day or they don't have their computer one day, like what happens, you know? So, and we're big on time management, the character development that we do in advisory. We have our get better timeouts. We actually have one today that I kind of steal from, that's his it's Buzz Williams, the coach of Texas A&M. He calls them the get better timeouts, but it's character development. And my spiel at our parents meeting every year is with the amount of work that we put in. Think about the film that we watch. When these guys are here in the morning and they're busting their butt, the sheer amount of practice, they're going to become better basketball players. Like they're going to get better. But if they leave this program and they're not going to be a good father one day, or a husband and a leader in the community, then I've failed them as a basketball coach. Because it really is bigger than that. Like we use basketball as a tool, to teach kids how to deal with success, how to deal with failure, and adversity. It's really is. And that's not just basketball, but sports in general. At least that's what it's supposed to be used for. Right. Sometimes it's not always that case, but here we are the school values, and then what I try to do as a coach, it's seamless and lines up.
Awesome.
That's cool.
So my last and final question for you, you kind of have the best of both worlds. So you're like the dean of students, and then you're also head varsity basketball coach, right? So with pushing them in the class or pushing the student body forward, and then on the other side of that, pushing the team to their highest level, how do you hold the students accountable on and off the court? Well, let's say you already touched on how you hold them accountable on the court. So off the court, when it comes to academics and understanding the benefit of, you might have all the potential in the world, but, education wise, you want to make sure that you're just as dominant over here. How do you implement that?
It starts with the little things, the same way that we have that attention to detail on the court. I expect all my guys to be in dress code. I tell them, guys, if I get an email or a teacher talks to me about your behavior, dress code, or whatever, like there's a consequence for that. Yep. And it's not that we're sitting there waiting for them to mess up. Right. It's because we love them. We want the best for them, and we're going to hold them accountable. That's a part of it. So they got to show up ready for class, and even my students that are not athletes or not my players, I expect the same thing from them. Yeah. And, I've seen just over the years, I get to do a lot of the fun stuff as dean of students, with homecoming and pep rallies, and, we had cookies and kickball earlier this year, advisory activities. I love that part. That part is just as important as the discipline piece, the things that aren't so fun. Right. As long as that relationship is there, you can have those difficult conversations like, hey man, I've seen that, you're out of dress code. And also, you haven't turned in your last 3 homework assignments, in math class. What's going on? I come at it from that way to say, what, is there something, is this child dealing with something at home? Maybe they're not eating breakfast in the morning. Maybe there's something going on. It usually is with kids, and they'll tell you, some, it's a little harder to unwrap and kind of get those things, but a lot of times there is that, okay, this is why this is going on. So holistically, we got to look at before we can kind of hold them accountable. We kind of need to know a little bit what else is going on. Yeah. This is a symptom. This choice that they're making is a symptom of something else. And sometimes, man, it's just because they haven't been held accountable, and they want, they'll never thank you for it. Well, sometimes, but most of the time they won't thank you for it. But they want the structure, they want that, and to be held that expectation. It's man, this person cares enough about me to call me on this. Yeah. And that's tremendously important. In a young person's life, they, like I said, they won't thank you for it sometimes. But it's I hope that at the end of the day, someone says, okay, Colin Dehate, he's a dean of students. He's fair. At the end of the day, he's fair and he cares about you.
Like it, man. Love it. Well, we thank you so much, Coach, for taking time out of your day, man, to come visit us. I do have to say, as a fellow shoe connoisseur, that Richard pointed out today that you have on custom Air Force Ones today. So those are pretty fly, sir.
They are. And CDS. Yes. They're actually CDS Air Force Ones.
Love them, man. Love them, man.
Our coaching staff, everybody on the coaching staff has got a pair of them.
Nice.
And a couple parents that asked, Vanessa Bergen, our cheerleading coach, has a pair of them as well.
Nice. Well, we definitely enjoyed you being on the show and sharing your insight a dean standpoint as well as basketball coach. So, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Colin Dehate. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys.